You talk about this aspect of, opening your eyes and understanding that disability is not for certain individuals. Perhaps, is there a specific element you can mention that made you to imagine that it had come a time whereby Watila is now completely disabled? Because I've read this book and you talk about going to an end-based function and you're going to receive some perhaps presents that are supposed to help you in life.
Yeah. 2 days after I had gotten into that accident, I went to Endebess and then for checkup, of course. I was told the ankle was not that bad, that I could now start using my crutches. So on my way from Endebess, going home, I was riding on my motor bicycle. I was being carried, of course, I could not ride. At Posta, I saw a crowd. There were a lot of people outside the DC's residence or offices. So somebody saw me and said, "Watila, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going home." "And what is wrong with your foot?" I said, "I'm injured. I'm now unable to walk on my own." He said, "Now, the women rep, who is Lilian Sioi, is giving out wheelchairs and crutches to people with disabilities."
So here is someone introducing you to the idea of wheelchairs for people living with disabilities. So in simple terms, this fellow had recognized you as someone living with that challenge.
Exactly. In fact, she said the same, in the same language, that you are a disabled person. Today is World Wheelchair Day.
Yes.
Why don't you go in and take standard crutches and leave aside your wooden crutches?
Courtesy of Honorable Lilian Sioi.
Lilian Sioi. It dawned on me now that I was a disabled person.
Yes.
I sweated.
You never liked the idea of being disabled?
I could not imagine that I, Watila, is now disabled. So we went in with my caretaker, who is also mentioned in the book.
So what prompted you to accept that situation, that indeed you are disabled and you are going for the wheelchair?
Now I had to, because now you can imagine the previous day I was on my feet, very healthy. I could run, I could ride, I could carry things. And then all of a sudden I was being carried.
So you accept the condition that indeed at this level Watila Nicholas UG is nothing but disabled.
Very much dependent on other people. So I went in and the situation, the picture was sad, because now there were people who were going around on their knees. They could not walk. Others were being carried. Others had no hands. So I looked at these people and said, now I'm part of these people, whether I like it or not. And it's not my doing, just like it was not their wrongdoing. So I sat there. We were entertained. Those who could do it, there was ground volleyball. There's also tug of war, where people could pull each other and compete. Prizes were offered. We were given some lunch. And then after that, we were given like 200 shillings, like I mentioned, 200 shillings for people
living with disabilities.
And then our caretakers were given 100 shillings each. From there, I was given my standard crutches.
You received the crutches, not the wheelchair?
No. I could not imagine myself in a wheelchair again, because my father rode around for 10 years in a wheelchair. So I said, I'm not going.
Those were very bad memories for you.
Exactly. And then you can remember, as I can remember, when my father got into that accident, he broke his spinal cord. I was like 4 or 5 years old. So
what was his name?
His name is Cosmas Wesonga Hisa. That is my father. Many people can relate, those who are in Katuke.
We do. So go back to your story about the spinal cord of Mzee.
So Mzee got his spinal cord broken. He was taken to Mount Elgon Hospital in '83. And then from there, they could not do much. They referred him to Kenyatta National Hospital. He was flown there. And then again, it could not be done. That is, it was beyond repair. So he also accepted that situation and lived like that.
Went onto the wheelchair.
Yeah.
So for you, you looked at that as a memory to Badlands, that
Very bad
Watila is going
memories.
to go on wheelchair.
Exactly.
And you resisted.
I resisted and said I'm not going that way because now this is just a leg, it's not a spine. So I beefed up myself and said I'll do everything possible and be as normal as possible. So I started preparing myself for the future, which was uncertain, because now if you were to go back to the facilities, hospital facilities, and then the cast was removed, and at the end of it all, so let's say it turns out that I cannot use my leg again, what would I do? Because now going to work, I was to use a motorcycle.
So it's like you were witnessing a situation of the whole world crumbling before you.
Exactly. So I sat down and took myself into conversation and said, now Watila, what other talents do you have apart from this storekeeping? What else can you do?
But before come to that talent, Watila, I want us to still reflect on Judith. In your book, you mentioned that Judith, even at times such as going for your relief, you're going for latrine, and that even when a snake comes into the house, that even when the children are there and you see you are unable to walk, Judith is the one that's going to provide all these kind of auspices. Perhaps you can still help me to appreciate the feminism in your novel, that you're able to bring out Judith as a character that was able to really stand unto you, and in providing that support even up to the time you're able to write this novel.
I can say Judith was very supportive because when we met at first, I had nothing. So we have grown up together. In everything I have done, she has been supportive. So during this time, she could not let me down. One thing, now that my leg was dysfunctional, she acted as that leg. Because now when I wanted to get up, I was propped on her. She took me to the toilet on my first day. Because Mulunda, when you get into an accident of that nature, basically you can't eat. The first 2 days you don't eat because the idea of going to the toilet is a nightmare. Because you cannot bend your knee. Now the cast is up to the knee. Very painful and very heavy.
I can imagine that even when you do some exercise, sometimes it's difficult to help yourself.
Yeah.
So you have that problem, the leg is broken. Yes.
I abstained from eating
to avoid going to
the toilet. So you can imagine. I could not even imagine of going to the bath.
But yeah.
So I was seeing myself in a very difficult situation. Now who am I? What am I going to do? But Judith was there. She said, now you have been there for me for quite long. Let me stand in. If anything, this is for better and for worse. So she did a lot. She was my leg. She was my very mentor. She practically carried me around. I'm very much thankful. And I don't know, she's one woman of her kind. There are so many other women out there who can do it, but in a million I can rate her as number one.
And then tell us briefly about that snake that entered your house, and Judith is the only person who was able to kill it.
Actually, Mulunda, that part of the story, I brought it in to try to magnify the idea of feminism, that a woman can do what a man can also do. So I can say it was a part of my imagination.
As a way of fictionalizing your life.
Yeah.
Now, Watila, if someone was to ask this question, and I go ahead to ask you that, when you talk about women empowerment, and at the time when you are down, you could not do anything, and you could not like it even to be called a disabled person, you will not even appreciate to be called a person living with disabilities. So either way, you are not in preference of such kind of technologies. And at that time, you could also imagine that economically, because you are the breadwinner, family could go down. Can you now tell us, do you find it necessary that women must be economically empowered?
Very much. I'm rooting for women empowerment because when you empower a woman, you have practically empowered the whole society. In what sense? I could see it on myself. Now, one thing that also comes out is that when I was at NDBS, women were the only people who could carry children who are disabled. I didn't see a man carrying a child on the back. It was a woman. A woman could even wipe the drool of
the baby all over the face.
All over. And then you can imagine that child is not a very young child, maybe somebody of 10, 14 years. But because they are down, some of them had Down syndrome, so you can imagine.
Yeah,
it's only a woman who can do that. A woman who gave birth to the child. But a man cannot. I don't think a man can stomach that for long.
Dissociate themselves.
Yeah, of course. And so many women have been left, have been cast aside by their husbands because of giving birth to children with disabilities. So a woman has to be economically empowered so as to carry that burden. Yeah.
And on the flip chart, are you trying to imagine that if it was your wife who was in such a condition, could you have perhaps provide the same support she did?
That is a tricky part. As a man, Mulunda, you being another man like me, I don't think that thing can be possible because now a woman basically has been trained to do house chores, and the idea of nursing originally looks like a woman's.
It's feminine in nature.
Actually. So if I could try maybe looking after Judith, let's imagine that Judith was the one who was in an accident. I don't think I could have gone far.
You could have quickly looked for
somebody else, maybe a caretaker, of course, a lady.
Or maybe her sister.
And her sisters, of course. Yeah.
Now, Watila, moving very fast now, what motivated you then to write this book at the time you are down? And at the time when you are looking at the world as something that, is coming to an end. For you, you imagined of the end times that had arrived on your life. So what then motivated you? Because I could imagine that when you're in such kind of a situation, you could sympathize yourself, because I understand that many people sympathized with you as opposed to empathizing with you. And if that was the case, then what really motivated you into writing this novel?
One thing, Mulunda, I've been a writer all along, as you know. I've taught English, so it has been with me.
Yeah.
The accident, as I said before, opened my mind. Now, because I could not go to the fields to dig, I could not do any other work apart from lying down in bed, I chose to write this book as a way of maybe trying to make another source. So I came out with this book and said, in the event that I won't work again, I'll be a full-time writer. And being a full-time writer meant writing stories that could empower people, educate, and then, if God wills, sell. And that could be maybe my work.
Yeah. Wow, that is so nice, Watila. And I really appreciate that you are able to do this kind of work, and I've seen a number of pieces that you have done. And I therefore wish to recommend this book to anybody who is very enthusiastic in reading and understanding matters of literature, because this book talks about many aspects, be it mismanagement of parastatals, be it cronyism that witnessed in the parastatals, be it tribalism, be it negative ethnicity that exercised in our institutions. And it will bring you to speed on how even your friends in early childhood, primary levels, can be able to influence your life, can be able to shape up your character, and in so doing you realize that you become someone because of such kind of influences. And that's why it was necessary that for us we come to talk about this book which Watila Nicholas UG has done. And interestingly is that when you want to look at this book, I wish that you ignore even looking at this other side, you ignore even looking at the first pages, just go straight into reading the book, because you'll find it very interesting, you'll find it very informative, it's factual. And when you talk about facts here, I'm saying that a lot of truth exists in this novel. This is Mlunda Silingi, and I appreciate you for following up on our channel. This is Ubuntu Classic TV. We exist both in Facebook and in YouTube. You can also find us on X. You can also find us on TikTok. But I want you to really find out and follow us on Ubuntu Classic TV Facebook, as well as Ubuntu Classic TV in YouTube. This is what we are able to do with Watila at this particular time. Thank you so much, Bwana Watila, for giving us time to discuss about this book.
Thank you for your time. I'm very much humbled.